Hello, homeschooling families. Thank you so much for joining us for our first ever Q&A here at Cabinet. So the idea is that we have been wanting to do workshops, but we get so busy here. You know, we have the whole entire store to manage. Homeschooling tries to help kids, testing, everything that we do. We just never have enough time. So we are going to be doing about once a month 5 to 10 minute Q&As, and today's Q&A is about standardized testing. What about standardized testing? So here at Cabinet we offer the PSAT and the Iowa test, and we give you all kinds of information on testing. Today we're not going to talk about college entrance or older kids testing, which we're going to talk about the Iowa test, which the Iowa test does do testing for high school. But we'll do the PSAT, talk about the SAT, the ACT, and other college or high school, higher level testing later on, probably in July or August or September. Anyway, so what does the law said about testing? We had asked you guys to send us questions, and these are some of the questions that we get asked all the time and some of the questions that we have received. So in Arizona, the law is amazing. It used to be, right before I started homeschooling in 1994, it used to be that parents themselves had to take I believe it was the teacher testing, the same test that the teachers had to take, the parents had to take it every single year. I mean, what a horrible thing to do. And homeschool students had to go to their public school system, their local public school, and they would take a test. And then the schools, the government or the school entity, they wouldn't tell you anything anyway. So it was like a waste of time. But you still had to do it. So it was a horrible stress. So because homeschoolers have proved themselves and they have done so well, the laws have changed. And Arizona has one of the best homeschooling laws in Arizona. It does not require not in Arizona, in the whole country. It does not require any testing. So if you choose to test, it will be because that is what you want to do, that's what you feel is best for your child. You don't have to do it every year. We have some ideas, some recommendations that we give you, but it's basically up to you. You know, statistically, and then just as homeschooling has continued to grow, it has been proven that homeschoolers do very, very well. So it is best to allow the parent to decide how to handle the testing issue. Okay, so what are your options about testing? You have testing at home versus group testing somewhere like at Cabinet. So Cabinet offers the Iowa testing, and we have something that actually I messed up my notes, sorry about that. So about testing at home, let me go back to that. There is an organization, a company that's called Hewitt Homeschooling. Their website is hewitthomeschooling.com. They have been around forever, since probably homeschooling just got started. And they have a test that they offer. If you go to their website, you can find information on the PASS test, which is Personalized Achievement Summary System. This test they offer is for 3rd through 8th grade. The PASS test was developed exclusively for homeschooling students. It has some similarities to like the Iowa test and other standardized testing, in the sense that it measures achievement in different subjects, in reading, language, math, stuff like that. But what makes it a little bit different is that it was specifically created for the parents to administer the test at home. And actually my friend Chris was filming me right now. She has organized it so she can actually, you can get a discount if you buy the test in groups. So you can also buy it and have your entire homeschool group do the PASS test. So now, the other thing that is different from standardized tests is that this test is not timed, which, you know, if kids get anxiety, sometimes it helps the kids relax. And the other nice thing is that it consists of many test levels instead of just one grade. So your child, if they still are able to have the knowledge, they can just go to the next level as far as they can go, as far as the parent wants them to go. In that way, you get a better idea of where they are instead of testing a specific grade level test. Let's see. Anyway, so the PASS test from Hewitt Homeschooling has been around forever, like I said, and it has a very good reputation. So if you want to give your child a test at home, that is a great option. Go to their website, hewitthomeschooling.com, and you will find all the information that you need there. Now, Iowa testing can also be done either as a group test or as a testing at home. If you want to do it at home, you would contact a company like Bob Jones or Rebecca, and you would get their guidelines of how that is done. And parents that have a bachelor's degree, or at least they need to find a proctor who has a bachelor's degree if the parent doesn't have it. So you basically will rent the test from Bob Jones. They'll give you the rules, the time periods that you have it. Maybe you have it for maybe 2 months, 3 months. I can't remember. That's my husband and I did that 1 year, and so basically, as long as you follow your guidelines, you can test your kid at home. Covenant also has something that we started offering a couple of years ago. We call it individualized testing, or testing with accommodations. So basically, if your child gets anxiety and they'll do better testing by themselves, they'll do the exact same test that they would do with the kids, except that it will be done with a one-on-one proctor. And information on that is on our website. Now, if your child has some special needs tests that we're able to accommodate, we can't accommodate all the special needs, but we could read most of the questions to the students. We can give them extra time, and that needs to be done also separately. It's individualized testing. So if you go to our website, you can find information on that. So what are the positive and the negative of testing your kids by themselves or in a group? By themselves, sometimes if we the moms are doing the test, or we the homeschool parent, we need to make sure that we have the right personality to be able to do that. So if the kid is marking the wrong answers, you can't do like, or you can't, it's like, give no clues, even if you don't mean to. You need to make sure you have the right personality where you will be blank. And when we didn't, I know I couldn't do it. So my husband is the one that tested our kids, and he has the perfect poker face, the perfect personality for that. So you have to just know yourself, know your child. Is your child gonna be happy to do something that's not so much fun? Testing is not that much fun. Actually, unless you do it at Covenant, I have to tell you what some of the kids have said about testing here. But but in general, testing is not on the top list of the kids, things that the kids want to do. So you also want to make sure that you don't want to, I don't know, it's not only with testing, but I do tell parents that are homeschooling, if there's something that your child hates to do, and sometimes you just have to do certain things, but at the same time, you want to also watch for your relationship with your child. You don't want to be doing things over and over and over that the kids hate, and then it starts affecting your relationship. Anyway, so that's another side issue with that. Another negative about testing at home with the parent being the proctor is that if your child tests high enough to become part of a homeschool honor society, which is approved with a testing, you have to test in the 90th percentile or more. If the parent is the tester, it does not qualify. It does not count. So if that's something that's important to you, then you need to make sure that you have somebody else besides a parent proctoring the child. Now, benefits of group testing. Your kid will learn to, eventually they'll learn, but if they're going to be going to college, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of experience with group testing, where they have to sit down and everybody has to be quiet. They all need to enter at the same time. They need to, the proctor reads instructions to the entire group, and they'll say, okay guys, now you need to bubble your name. Well, of course, it's going to be little Johnny that bubbles it in 5 seconds, and then there's going to be Jamie that bubbles it in like 2 minutes. So obviously Johnny has to wait for Jamie to be done. And that can be kind of annoying, but it's a good skill to learn, because that's just the reality of life if you're going to move on to high school level and other activities where you have to interact with other people and also be on their timing. The other thing that is kind of nice is the anxiety level. Sometimes kids get really nervous. So we have parents that test their kids here simply to help their kids get some practice in testing. So the kids learn, okay, I don't have to do everything perfectly, I don't have to hurry up. They learn about the timing, they learn to follow instructions from somebody else besides the parent, and they start getting comfortable. Oh, this is not as stressful as I thought it was going to be. Plus, here at Covenant, we did have a question about a parent that says that their child gets anxiety and if they even benefit from the test, because what if they do everything wrong because they're so stressed? Well, I would say they would benefit, because it's, like I was just saying, it's a practice. Plus, here at Covenant, we work really, really hard to make testing as pleasant as possible. We can't change the questions, the timing, all those things will be exactly what they are, so we cannot make that any more fun or less fun. It's just what it is. But what we can do is create a super friendly environment for the kids to come in. We have breaks, when the kids have their breaks, we let them run around. They don't have to be all like sitting like this. And actually the really neat thing is that the kids, homeschool kids, people say, homeschool kids, they need socialization. I was like, well, we know better. So in 2 seconds during the breaks, all the kids are playing with each other. They're talking with each other. The younger kids, they're waiting for the older kids outside. They start playing with the older kids. So it's a super, really neat thing. And our main problem is that we have to keep reminding the kids, okay, the break is to relax and to play, but also to go to the bathroom. So make sure you go to the bathroom before you go out and play, because otherwise they're all like rushing to go to the bathroom when it's time to come in and settle down and be quiet again. And our proctors are very friendly. We do a lot of proctor training, so we make this event as comfortable and as friendly to the homeschool kids. And one of the moms sent us a Facebook message after our last testing, and she told us, my son thought it was so much fun, he can't wait to test again next year. And I thought that was really cute. So we do work very, very hard to make this as pleasant as possible. Let's see. The other thing about group testing, I just remember this. I had a parent we don't allow children that are sick to come in the test, but the daughter was used to being by herself and doing things where everything was quiet. And there was a kid that had allergies and was sneezing. And he wasn't sick. He didn't have a fever. It wasn't like anyway, it was just allergies. And the daughter was very upset that she had to hear the kid sneezing. So when she approached us, we very kindly told her, this is part of the testing experience. They'll be, when you are in different groups, these are the things that you have to get used to. And perhaps the girl may have not scored as highly because she felt very distracted with the kids' allergies, but it really wasn't that much of a big deal. And more importantly, she's learning to deal with those things that she's not used to. So those are very important things to have. Let's see, what else about group testing? Okay, so now the next question that we got asked is, why even consider taking the Iowa test? Well, the Iowa test helps parents by providing a comprehensive assessment of students' progress in major contact area. So, for example, it's actually very helpful. I'll tell you guys, with my kids, we tested my daughter a couple of times. My husband liked doing it, so like I said, we did it at home. And when the results came back one year, I discovered that her punctuation scored very low, which was kind of like a surprise to me. But at the same time, it was like, oh, I did not figure that we have not done much on punctuation. She's a good writer, and she's very bright, so I just didn't notice that. So that was a very good help that the Iowa test gave me. So that year, we just worked a little more on punctuation. Now, another question we can ask is, do I have to come to both days of the testing? If you want the results of the entire test, you do. The first day, the test goes from around 9 to 12:30 more or less, each day. And if you skip one day, then you will have blank. You will have no results for the day that you choose to skip. Also, it's very important to remember to arrive early. We ask everybody to arrive at least 10 to 15 minutes early, just to relax, go to the bathrooms, and also to make sure that there's not an accident or you don't get stuck in traffic. Because if you make it late, we won't allow you to come in to the section that you're going to be late for. Let's see. So, sorry, I got distracted with the phone. We're just going to let the answer machine get it. So basically, if you make it late, I believe the first section on the first day is math. So you will miss that math section. You will not be allowed to enter. We have probably myself or one of our staff members kind of stands around outside for a little bit just to make sure that you won't in and interrupt the kids. Because, it's once you get started, it's very important to give the kids the best environment for the testing. Okay, so the next question is, what subjects are covered in the Iowa test? The Iowa test covers reading, writing, math, science, social studies, vocabulary, spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. So pretty much a little bit of everything. Now, we get asked all the time, how do we prepare for the Iowa test? Now, it's sometimes in the schools, they teach the kids to the test. And that is not what we recommend at all. Well, first of all, you don't know what's in the Iowa test, and we're not allowed to show you because we need to keep the integrity of the test. We have really strict rules. We work really hard to follow all the rules, so we will never ever lose our privilege to offer the the Iowa tests, and then in the fall, the PSAT test to homeschooling students. So there's basically not very hard for you to find out exactly what's in the test. So we recommend that you continue teaching whatever you're teaching for your kid. It is true that the test is subject specific. For example, if for history or social studies, the kids are starting learning about Africa during the year your child is testing. Oh no, they're testing about Africa in that year, and then you're learning about, let's say, American history. So of course your child is not going to have that knowledge fresh. And that's okay. So just know that some years your kid won't score as high as others, but it really doesn't matter because you're learning, you know what you're doing at home. Plus, I always love to share this story. We had a parent whose child was behind doing badly in school, so they withdrew him. It was their first year homeschooling, and they had not done any science. They did the other subjects, and they just, I don't know why they just didn't do science. I don't know if they planned on that or if it just slipped, but they were going to the library all the time. So after the results came in, the mom calls me and she sounds like semi-panicky, and she asked me, "Are you sure these are my kids' scores?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this poor kid must have done very badly," which is unusual for homeschoolers. And so I started explaining her the guidelines, how things work out, how Riverside Testing, the company that scores our testing results, how everything's done. It's pretty much impossible to change the names on the kids' test. And then she told me, "Well, I never did any science, and my kids scored really high in science. How is that possible?" And we ended up talking, and we discovered that through the library. The kid just went to the library a lot, and he was pulling up books that were interested to him, and she didn't even know he was learning science. So I wouldn't worry about it. Limit your screen time, which is I know it's a big issue in this our current generation. So limit screen time, and your kids will have a lot of time to play, a lot of time to read books, a lot of time to learn things that you don't even know they're learning. Just really good stuff. Okay. The other thing that you can do to prepare is get a practice test. Not everybody gets it, so this is a total optional. I believe they're $6 right now, and we have them available here at Cabinet. When you register, there's a little box in your registration form. You can mark if you want it or if you don't want it. So basically, all this test does, it includes directions. So these are the directions. So the parents can read that on how to give the kids. And then this is the actual test. And it has like 2 or 3 questions, sample questions. Like this is the first section you'll be doing is the reading section. So it has like a little direction, something for the kids to read, and then 4 questions based on the reading that they did here. And then it moved on to the next section. The next section is writing expression, and so on. So it's just a sample of the questions, the type of questions, the style of questions. So it's good. It's for kids that have never tested or that get anxiety. This could be really good. And then the other thing that is good to practice is to learn to bubble. So here they have bubbling for the kids. They'll need to learn their first name and their last name. And actually, something really funny happened one time. Some kid, they wrote their name correctly during one of the testing, but when they bubbled, they made up a name. And when the results came in, I was so confused, so I called Riverside Testing, and they actually scanned all the tests and all the scorecards that the kids, the scorecards that we submit. So we don't get those back, but they scanned them. So she was able to find it, and the poor lady started laughing. He said, "Yeah, no wonder you didn't find it, because the name was correct, but the bubbling was wrong." So make sure your kid puts the real bubble, or I will be suffering trying to figure out what's right. Okay, the other nice thing about this practice test is that during testing, you're going to get a testing booklet. It's going to look like this. It's going to be a lot fatter because it has a lot more questions, and children are not allowed to write in it. And still, even if before every single section, before we start, there's a script that we read, and the script reminds the kids, do not write in the book. Well, we have 30, 40 kids testing together, so obviously we cannot be watching all of them at the same time. So unfortunately, we do have kids that write in the book, and these books are expensive. So we had to add a fee. We're charging a $50 fee if your child writes in the book. So make sure you remind the kid not to write in the book, and if you take the practice test, they can remember not to write in the book. So they get practice exactly of how they're supposed to do here, the testing when they get here, and they can just put their answers in the answer sheet. So you will basically just rip this back page out, so they have it right next to the testing. Anyway, so that gives them really good practice on how exactly to test. Okay, so let me see, what other testing do we have? Oh, another question is, do we share the testing results with any other entity, schools, government, whatever? The answer is absolutely not. You know, we Riverside testing, we collect, you guys register with us, so nobody knows that you're registering to test. And then we send all the this type of thing, but the real one, of course, where the kids put all their answers, we send all their score keys directly to Riverside testing. They score them. They don't share them with anybody. They send them back to us as a big batch. And then I separate them, and we mail them back directly to you guys. So we don't look at the scores. We just look at the names, and then we include a little sheet with it. We called it the how to decode my child's performance. So basically, it is totally private. It is, you guys are the only ones that have it. We do make a copy that we keep for 1 year. That way, if it gets lost in the mail, we have another copy that we can send you. Or if you lose it, as long as you call us within 1 year, we'll still have the copy, because then we shred them all, because we don't have that much room in this place. Okay, so next question is, when will the results be received? We give ourselves a time of 6 weeks, and we usually that gives cushion for any glitches that could happen with Riverside or whatever else. Like, I don't know what happened 1 year, but they send us the wrong type of scores. So there was enough time for them to send us the correct type of scores, because the scores that we order, this one did not get copyright, but I believe it's called the individualized assessment something. But anyway, so that, yeah, individualized performance, assessment performance, something like that. Anyway, so so you will get them up to 6 weeks after the testing, but we usually are able to send them between 3 and 4 weeks. But plan on 6. That way you don't get too upset. What do the results tell you? Is one of the other things. It's actually really neat. The results let you know, compare your child in several different ways. When your results will look like this, more or less, and they will give you information on different things. Like, for example, they will give you something that's called a grade equivalent, which is right here, and basically it's what that means is the grade equivalent is like a decimal number that indicates the grade level in the month. For example, if you see 3.2, it indicates a 3rd grade level in the 2nd month. Now, it also indicates, it's kind of neat, because it indicates what the average students in the individual level will achieve if given the same test. For example, this girl, some of her grade equivalents were 13.2. So that's basically what this girl was in 8th grade. But if first-year college students will take this exact same test that she took, they would score. Anyway, so that's kind of what that is. Then the other option that you have, it compares them. It gives national percentile rating, and basically 50% is the national average. So it tells where your child is. Like, this girl is above the 50th percentile in everything except math. Math, she's like a tiny little bit below, and that's exactly how my youngest daughter was. She wasn't good at math. So we still did math. I made her, we suffered so much, I made her memorize the multiplication tables. And, but anyway, so, and she did do upper level math too, even if she hated it. But because that's not her strength, it's okay. You know, my child did really well in reading and writing, so I knew I could expect that, and I also knew it's okay if she doesn't do as well in math, because she's not a mathematician. That's totally fine. Let's see. Anyway, so we create this paper. It's called How to Decode Your Child's Performance Profile of the Iowa Test. And so all the information that you're gonna have it's already set here. Okay, so another question is, are you, well, sometimes parents, this is not necessarily a question, but it has brought up, sometimes parents get insecure. Am I damaging my child if I don't do the testing? The answer is no. You're not a bad homeschool parent if you don't test your kid. You just decide when you want to test him, if you want to test him, what career path is going to be taken, and more than likely. We just did individualized testing for a mother who just has some special needs kids, and it was just going to really help her to see that even if she knew her kids were probably not going to be going to college, she wanted to have the information that the testing will give her just for her own knowledge. And then I would even recommend, there's no need for the kids to know the results of the test, because if they did really well, they may get kind of puffed up, you know, or if they did really bad, they'll get really demoralized. So really, this is more for the parent. You really don't want to use this as a negative tool. You just want to use it as something to inform yourself, to teach your kids better if that's something you think you need. Okay, so the last thing is, if you go to our website, all the registration forms, if you go to the testing page, testing webpage, just scroll down past the registration forms, and we have a really nice information of things that you can do to help your kids relax, you know, explaining that it's not a pass-fail test. We have a lot of information there. So just read that, and if you have additional questions, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. So I hope our first Q&A helped you, and we want to keep doing more. We already chose a couple of subjects, but if you want us to cover something, if you have questions about a specific subject, just shoot us an email and or give us a call, and we will try to schedule the Q&A. So thank you so much for joining me, and you guys have a wonderful homeschool day. Bye, and thank you, Chris, for